So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Science to Business event. We're very excited to hear from Terry today. And I just want to start off with some few housekeeping online guidelines that I'm sure you all know by now, but just to reiterate them. So I like this because it says you're on mute. That's like the 2020 code, but please keep your mics on mute if you're not talking. If you have any questions, please use the raise hand function. Actually, sorry, the raise hand function is not working. Forgot to update the slide. Just type in your name in the chat box, and we'll call on to your name to ask your question. If you're more comfortable typing in your question in the chat box, please do so as well, and we'll ask the question. And to avoid, if you have the link to avoid having the speaker obstruct the view of a presentation, you can click on view options and use it side by side. That will allow you to look at the presentation and the speaker side by side. A little bit about Science to Business Network. The network was formed in 2011 through a scholarship, the Science to Business Scholarship that was awarded by CHR to recent PhD graduates who wanted to pursue an MBA, and that kind of formed the beginning of the network. And it started growing from the first event in Toronto in 2014. And today we have the Science to Business Network, national nonprofit organization, 8 different university chapters that go from Edmonton here to all the way to Ottawa and Ontario. And our mission is to foster entrepreneurial culture within and around the research community to try and optimize the Canadian environment for commercialization of science, and to ensure that highly qualified personnel like yourselves have access to mentorship and career development all across Canada. And the problem is, and I guess we're here all today because we feel that problem is that career journey for students is typically complex and uncertain. And I am a grad student myself, so I feel that problem. I feel like I don't know where to go from now. So having that, looking at that career journey can be very anxious, you can be very anxious about that and can cause some certain anxieties. And we find, we hear from employers that some graduate students are not fully prepared to enter the workforce, which I'm hoping by the end of today, you have some tips and clues into what you can do to help you go into that workforce place. And so our solution has been to always bridge that gap between academia and industry. So the Science to Business Network is a student-led organization and supports professional development for graduate students. And we do that by organizing events and workshops, networking events as well, to help you cultivate that career path. So we're hoping that by participating in our events, you'll be able to obtain transferable skills, to access to knowledge, to networks, to be able to have access to people that you might network with and might ask questions later on, and of course access to and exposure to the industry challenges to be competitive when you're entering a job interview. And we have chapters all over. They're mostly in Ontario, but we have a chapter in Winnipeg and our chapter here in Edmonton. And since everything is online now, I highly suggest that you tune in for the events that are run by other chapters. Now that everything is online, you have that opportunity. So I highly recommend you do that. And now I'll just, I would like to say that our event today cannot and would have not happened without the support from BioAlberta. They've been very, very supportive of our group, and we've worked alongside them to bring you forth this event today. And with that, I'll switch over to Trish, who is stepping in from to talk to us about BioAlberta, because unfortunately the CEO was not able to be with us today. So yeah, Trish.
Good afternoon, everybody. So glad that you could all join us this afternoon. A little bit about BioAlberta. We're the industry association that's focused on life sciences, and that includes biotech and health technology. We are a member-driven and a member-funded organization, and we currently sit at about 180 members. Our goal is to create and expand the network to connect small companies, researchers, and startups with the supports and guidance that they need, whether it be policy, regulatory, or funding, or frankly, finding parts of the supply chain that they might need. We take pride in being able to navigate the ecosystem and to connect our members to the people that they need to grow and be successful. And on that note, I'm going to turn you over to the reason why we're all here, which is to get you some perspectives on what it takes to get career ready and focused for your journey after you're done school. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to Terry Davis. She is the founder, president, and CEO of an organization called Profound Talent Incorporated. She has more than 20 years of executive and professional level search experience, along with extensive skill in talent management and business operations. Her core belief is that success in business is tied to its people, and that people who are passionate about their careers do extraordinary work for businesses. I think you can agree that that's a winning combination there. Before starting Profound Talent, Terry was a partner with a national executive search firm where she led the executive search team, providing both clients and candidates with insight into industry, talent management, compensation, and career management. She holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from the University of Alberta and a Master's of Business Administration from Athabasca University. And on that note, I'll turn it over to you, Terry.
Thank you. That is great. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet all of you virtually. I am going to actually just share my screen now, so hang tight for 1 second while I do that. And I am just going to grab the presentation. So I'm going to start by saying, first of all, it's a real honor to have been asked to come and speak to all of you. And I really hope by the end of today that I can give you 3 or 4 little nuggets that you can take away to help get you launched into the marketplace after your education and after your schooling. I'm a big believer in following your dreams and your passions, and that's ultimately why I started Profound Talent back in 2016. As Trish mentioned, I have 20 years of background in the recruitment industry, having recruited with David Applin Recruiting, having recruited with an executive search firm by the name of Conroy Ross, which is now Optimum Talent. And I sold out. I wasn't just a recruiter, I was actually owner of Optimum Talent and a partner. I was one of 10, and sold out my shares in that organization to follow my passion, my dream. And that was creating Profound Talent. So I'll just give you a little snippet of an overview, but I want all of you to kind of watch this for a second, because I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to give away a few hours of one-on-one career coaching for the one that can possibly answer my questions. So you'll see here that Profound Talent, we have 4 divisions. One is talent, coaching, marketing, and training. When I go to our next slide, which is not working here, why is that not working? There we go. I'll skip past that. We have our executive and professional recruiting division, and many of you may not be aware of recruitment firms. And so I just want to share or take this opportunity to share about them, just because it could be something that becomes very valuable to you in your own career search at some point. So there are many different ways to go out and find a job. One being, looking at job boards and postings and that type of thing and applying on them. There's a proactive way where you can go and be empowered and go find your own position. But when you get into the marketplace and you have a little bit of experience, there's also recruitment firms, and there are different types of recruitment firms in the marketplace. There's what we call our executive search firms and what we call mid-professional. And so most of the executive would handle positions that are director level up, and anything in that mid-professional level would handle any type of role that you'd see in a corporation. So it could be sales, marketing, accounting, HR, sales, you name it. It's what we call professional level. So one of the things that a lot of kind of misperception is that recruitment firms find people jobs. They actually don't find people jobs. They actually are contracted on behalf of the company, and the company pays us a fee to go find a specific type of talent and skill that they're looking for. So when you first leave, your university or your education, you may it may be tough for a recruitment firm to help you, but once you get kind of that first job under your belt and that second one, absolutely, it's something that you should put on your radar as you continue to grow your career. So I just wanted to kind of give you a quick insight over that. The second part of our organization is Profound Coaching, and we do all sorts of coaching, and one of them is career coaching, leadership, executive, and business startup coaching, as well as life coaching. And our third division is Profound Training, and that's coming soon. And that's where we help to elevate people in an organization and help them learn and develop and grow. And we have a fourth division, which I didn't bring in here, which is employer branding, and it's our marketing division. And it's in blue. So before I go on to the next slide, this is my question. Can anybody tell me, when they see all of these first 4 slides, what it is that I'm trying to do for our company? If anybody has the answer, and maybe I'll look to my moderators to see if, or even unmute yourself and shout it out. I see Paramita, I think it is raising
Yes,
hand.
I was thinking that you are delivering value to your clients, whether that is through mentoring or coaching or providing them with the right people, or even helping them with branding.
Helping them with what did you say?
Helping them with branding and the communications aspect.
That's what I wanted. So what we're trying to do, and you're right, we are trying to add value to our clients, but the real thing that I really wanted to show here and was hoping to get the answer. So Paramita, I'll give you a couple of hours of free one-on-one career coaching with myself or else Stacey Lang of my organization. What we are doing is branding ourselves. And so you will notice through all of these, we have the same logo look. We have different colors based on our different divisions, and we have a commonality of a bee. And that bee is the one that's in full color here. It shows all of our divisions. Then each bee is in different colors based on the division. So you might kind of wonder, what is that? When somebody sees us, we want them to think profound. We want them to think our B symbol. So this leads me to my first slide of what I want to share with you is the first and foremost, and the tip that I'm going to bring forward is you need to brand yourself. And I'm going to go into some more details on this, but if you look at any brand, every brand of an organization has a personality. It has an identity. And so when you see, for example, the Nike swoosh, you don't even have to know it's Nike. It just, you know it's Nike by looking at the swoosh. You know that right away. You think, just do it. And the personality that comes across that they want you to know about is that they are high quality, they're active, their performance, their sport. When you look at Netflix, you right away, again, you can see that N, the red N, and you will know it's Netflix. What are they trying to do? They're trying to tell you that they're fast, easy, entertaining, affordable. When you see Lululemon, you know right away their personality brand is quality, comfort, health, yoga, community. And similarly, all these other ones, McDonald's, Google, Apple, they all have their personality in their brand. So my first tip, I'm giving you 3 tips today, and I'm going to speak about all of them, is you need to create your own personal brand. So what is a personal brand? And I'm just going to move my screen here just a bit. A personal brand, and why it's important, is it's really how you present yourself to the world. So effective personal branding will differentiate you from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. So we want you to stand out. We want you to build your brand so that you can start to be somebody who is known to employers and somebody that they want to hire and somebody that you're building trust with. So now you're probably wondering, how do I actually go about and create my brand? So while you're all in school, the time is now to start doing it. So you can do a number of different things, but first and foremost, you want to think about intentionally creating it. So when you think of a brand, what do you want to be known as? What do you want people to think of you as? So what are your values? Are you reliable? Are you somebody who is authentic? Are you somebody who is a thought leader in your industry? Are you somebody who is ambitious and somebody who will jump over obstacles at to get to the goal? Like, what is your brand? And so how you start doing this is really sitting down and thinking about, who am I? How do I show up to the world? What do I want people to remember me as? So ways that you can do this is you can become a thought leader and a subject matter expert. So you're all in school and you might think, well, I'm not a thought leader. I mean, I'm just in school, I'm learning from others. But you know what? Everybody is a thought leader. You are learning, you are taking your information, you're learning, and how do you bring it out to the world to help them learn about certain areas? If you're in it, specializing in oncology, for example, in school, well, you know what? You're learning about oncology. I don't know anything about oncology. So your information could be really valuable to me. So just an example of this is when I started Profound, nobody in the recruitment industry has been around for 40 plus years. Nobody has been putting out to market anything around how to find a job, any type of videos on how to answer questions, as far as how to show up in interviews. And so when I created Profound, I wanted to intentionally build a brand where we had this holistic approach where we would actually help people in not only finding jobs, but also how to actually go about doing it, how to learn how to actually find a job. And so we became a thought leader in that. Now that helped me in two ways. It helped me because ultimately I'm a thought leader because I'm sharing my knowledge. And so people are starting to see and learn from me, and they're starting to see me as a subject matter expert. But it also helped us because it built our brand, because it helped us get into the market and people started to know us. I mean, I can walk down the street and people know me, and I don't even know how they know me because I don't know them. And it's because they see my videos, for example. And so being a thought leader is getting out there, whether it be on social media or whether it be, writing blogs, or whether it be, attending events and maybe speaking to your subject matter. If you look at even like Angus Watt, I don't know if many of you know who that is, but he is a financial expert that shows up on global news every night at 6 o'clock in Edmonton for the last, I don't know how many years. He is a thought leader. He is somebody who people respect. He's a subject matter expert. And, there's, I'm sure, a million other people who are amazing in the financial realm, but because he's positioned himself as that expert, people go to him because they want to learn from him. They want to know from him. Even if he really didn't know what he was talking about, they still see him as that expert. So that is one way to create your brand. A second way to create your brand is actually by getting out and building relationships and attending networking events. Again, the more you're out, the more you're visible, the more people get to know you. And when they get to know you, you're starting to build your brand and you're starting to build connections. Those connections are going to help you, whether it be now or whether it be later in your career. You're going to have a network that you can learn from, you can ask questions from, and you can ultimately, when you need a job, go out and let them know that you're looking, and that network may bring something forward to you. So we want to get out and network. Now, a lot of times people are nervous to get out and network because, I mean, granted, we're in the COVID world right now and networking is all online, but I would still encourage you to do so. But when you're actually going out in person to an event, and there's hundreds of people in the room, it can be absolutely intimidating to walk in where you know nobody and to stand there and feel very vulnerable to be in a place where you don't have a single friend that you can talk to. And my suggestion on that would be to actually go into that event and to actually either, one, if it's a dinner event, then go a few minutes early, sit down at your table and go in with the goal that you're going to get to know two people at that table. And then you're going to get their business card and you're going to go out and you're going to call them after and you're going to sit down and have a coffee with them and get to know them and just be curious about who they are and what they do. And you're building relationships, no different than if you were in school as a young child and you had to meet new friends. You're doing the exact same thing, but now it's a business community. And so that's kind of one way. If you're going into a big room, then you know what, again, similarly to going into school for the first time and having to meet new friends, interrupt. Everybody is at those networking events for the same exact reason as you. So, capitalize on it. Go talk to people, introduce yourself, get to know them, and then walk away with two business cards that you can follow up. And the reason I say two is because you're going to get to know two people. And then through that, the next time you go to that same networking event that maybe is showing up the next month, you're going to get another two and you're going to get to know them. Then you're going to get another two. And by the end of a year, you're going to have 24 people that you've now met that attend that same type of networking event. So whether it's like a BioAlberta, monthly networking event, or maybe some other association that's really specific to your science specialization, but attend. And the more people you know, it will become more comfortable to attend going forward. You want to create your brand through your tools. So your resume, your cover letter. So of course you want to have a great resume, and we'll talk about that in a second, but even little things like, how do you brand it to be you? Maybe it's the color of your resume. Maybe it is, just the header is on your cover letter and your resume the same. So it shows up as you when we start to see it. You want to also just, again, show up the way you want to be seen. So be your authentic you. Show your ethics, show your values, show your personality, because people want to get to know you. They don't want to get to know some facade that's behind that and not kind of real individual that you are. So that is kind of my first tip, is to create your brand. You are your own product. Salespeople know how to do this because they have a product that they sell. Most other individuals do not understand this. And it's the common challenge for people when they are, let's say, even an accountant, they're in an accounting function. They go through, many years being, in their jobs, complacent. They don't build their brand. And then one day they lose their job and they're thinking, gosh, I don't know anybody. I haven't attended a single professional development, networking event, and they're kind of stuck and they're starting from scratch. So the greatest tip I can give you out of all of this is to continue to build your network, continue to build your brand, and continue to be a thought leader in your area of specialization. Before I go on to the next slide, is there any questions about this? No? Okay, I will carry on. My second tip is to stand out and be different. So here's our purple ducky standing out amongst the yellow. So when you stand out, you're going to be noticed. You're going to show up differently, and that's going to give you a bit of a competitive edge. So how do you, again, go about doing that? There's a few different strategies that I can share with you. The first is that you can be the best you can be in your field. So when you are, you're taking your education and you end up into an opportunity or into a job, keep learning, always stay competitive, because other people are. And if you aren't and you just become complacent, you stay in your position, you're going to end up falling behind, and people are going to want the next level of, education, learning, knowledge. Things are changing so quickly in the world. So remain competitive with your learning, upgrade, share your knowledge. Create a resume that stands out. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes on this one. So I like to see a resume. So when somebody is trying to go out and find a job, generally speaking, there's two types of resumes. There is what we call our chronological resume, which is just literally what was your last job, and list your responsibilities, list your accomplishments. And then there's often a skills-based resume, which is strictly all your skill. If you've got your leadership skill, your change management, your whatever it might be. I've kind of like a bit of a hybrid. So if you're just going into a role that is the exact same, you're an accountant, you're going for another accounting role, you don't necessarily need to show some of those transferable skills in your resume. But if you are looking to make any kind of a career change, or you are looking for a first time to get into market, then it's really important to know your transferable skills. So what are transferable skills? Transferable skills could be anything from, they're those kind of soft skills that are hard to articulate. It could be things like your leadership skills, your change management, your communication. It could be even things like, how do you market yourself? It could be some of your social media skills. It's all of those things that are maybe not as specialized to your actual role. And so when I work with people through their career transition, I actually give them a document and I have them go through and provide an example of each of the transferable skills that I list in that document. And that example, what we're doing is we're getting them ready to be able to put it onto their resume and also to be able to share it in an interview. So transferable skills, usually when you're in an interview, you want to share it in what we call behavioral-based interviewing. That is where we'll say, give us an example of a situation you took. What was the situation? What was the action you took, and what was the result? So situation, action, result. So if I gave you the question, give me an example of a time you had an upset employee. How did you handle the situation? What was the result? Then you would give an example. And the reason we're looking to do that is we want to know what you've done in the past so we can predict what you're going to do in the future. So you want to, when you go through your transferable skills, you can do it a couple ways. You can just look up Google transferable skills and get a list of what they could be, and then think of an example with situation, action, result. Or you could even just kind of go through a job posting, and in that job posting you will see it will say straight up, we're looking for a leader with 10 years of experience. We need leadership. We are in an environment that is moving quickly and might require somebody who's been through change management. We know there's change management. So pick out those transferable skills in a job posting, and then be able to have your answers ready with your examples, because those are likely going to be in your interview, and those are things you want to address on your resume. So that is kind of the first thing. So when I like to, when I'm first having somebody go out to market and they are getting that first job, then I would use a combination resume where there's transferable skills and chronological. So I would do something such as have your name at the top, a little blurb about you, maybe a few keywords like that you're skilled in, like if it's oncology and leadership and what have you, put those in. And what you're trying to do there is with applicant tracking systems, which some companies have, those words may show up and they'll pull your resume into their system. If you don't have them, they may knock you out and you may not even get a chance. Then from that, you'll have your transferable skills. You may actually look at the posting and pick what are the 4 transferable skills that they need in this job, and literally put them in your resume, what and where you've achieved it. Then go into your education and then into your work experience. When you get into your work experience, I want you to put the name of the company, a little 2-liner about what that company does, so that we as recruiters know exactly. If we have a client that says we need somebody with manufacturing background, I don't want to be trying to figure out if your company has manufacturing or not. I need you to tell me that. You need to make your resume very clear so that I spend 1 minute on it. So I need to see it quickly and be, yes, want to see this person. So resume needs to stand out, needs to be clear, needs to be concise. And then from that, some responsibilities, and then you want to have a couple accomplishments. What are the results you've achieved? What is something that I'm wowed about you, because I need to be wowed by you, because I've got a lot of other resumes to look at. So that's another way that you can stand out, get noticed, is by your resume, and have no spelling errors in it to make it unique to that job. And I will just first tell you that the one word that I see in all resumes get spelled wrong is manger, and it does not get picked up by spell check. So be careful on that one, because it's my little pet peeve. And the other thing that I would like to share with you, another strategy on how to stand out, is I like for people to be proactive with their careers. So generally speaking, what people do is they will go and apply on jobs that are on the job boards like Indeed or Monster or LinkedIn. And while that is one approach that you definitely want to do, another approach is what I call the 6-touch marketing of yourself. And when you apply on jobs on Indeed, what happens is there's typically about 200 applications, only one person's going to be successful, and there's going to be 199 disappointed people. And so out of that 199 disappointed people will start to lose their confidence in finding a job, because they think, why didn't I get called? Why, and so it starts to suck the life out of you. And it's just not a really positive experience a lot of times. So instead of only doing that, I like to have you take and empower yourself to go find your job. And so how do you do that? I call it the 6-touch marketing. What it is you identify 50 companies that you would love to work for. You can go find those 50 companies. They could be on the 50 best managed companies list. They could be on the Fortune 500 list. They could be the up and coming organizations that you're hearing about. You can do Google searches to figure out who they are and what intrigues you about them. Find out who the hiring manager is. So if you're looking for a research kind of position in there, you may want to go to the director of research, and you're going to find out their name, their phone number, their email, and you're going to put them on what we call the 6-touch marketing campaign. So again, this goes back to branding. It goes back to selling yourself as a product. And the first touch is really about you making a phone call to them. So you're doing something different, because everybody's used to having emails come through now. So now we're going to go back old school, and you're going to make a phone call. Even if you get their voicemail, you can leave a message. The second touch might be you follow it up with an email saying, I just left you a message. I'd love to connect with you. Would you be open to having a coffee with me? I'd love to learn more about your company. I've targeted you guys as somebody that I would love to work for, based on your technology, based on your values, and I would love to just learn more about your company. Well, when you start to do that, people feel special and they want to kind of help you out potentially. So that's another way. The other way is you can put them on a social media strategy list where you're starting to engage with them on social media. And so again, you're starting to become known to them because they're seeing you all the time on social media. The goal and the reason we have it 6 touches is because it takes about 6 times before somebody actually remembers you. And we want to spread that out over a year so that we're not bombarding them all in, 6 phone calls in the first 2 weeks. We want to spread it out so that every month or two, you're kind of doing another thing to follow up with them, to see where they're at. And the goal is that at some point, they're going to start to see who you are. They're going to see that your energy, they're going to see your attitude, and they're going to want to actually potentially get to know you. And they may even want to create a position for you and bring you into their organization, because companies like to hire people they know and that they trust. And so again, part of that branding. Before I go on to the next slide, any questions?
We have a question about e-portfolios.
About, sorry, e-portfolios?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the question on that?
Can you speak? Can you speak to
Yeah,
e-portfolios?
sorry. Hi, that's my question.
Yes.
And so
Oh, perfect.
I'm just wondering, yeah, like how e-portfolios fit into them, like how important that you think they are. I see how branding and logos can transfer into an e-portfolio, but in today's world, like, is it as important as some people lead me to believe?
And so when you say e-portfolio, maybe if you could share with me a little bit about what you're getting at, just so I make sure. Are you saying, is that your resume, it's portfolios with respect to some of your work that you've done? Help me to understand what you're putting into an e-portfolio.
Yeah, so it's a portfolio, but it's just online. And so it's shareable. So I created, like as part of my undergraduate, I created a portfolio. As part of my graduate degree, I'm creating an e-portfolio, but I've never actually like showed these things to anyone. And because I've been self-employed for so long, I've never had the need. So I don't really understand how to use it, or if it's something that I should be like relying on as a tool, or something that's kind of unnecessary.
I think it's a tool that you may want to, I definitely, any tool that you create that really showcases who you are and looks a little different than what everybody typically has, I think is a good tool. It's just, when do you use it? So I would say that, definitely if you want to, again, going through the 6 touch, you might want to, if you're proactively going out to market and trying to get an employer to recognize you and to see you and to potentially make a job for you or bring you into their organization if they have a job, then at that point I would probably say, pick up the phone, kind of make a call to them. I would say, send an email with your resume, maybe your portfolio is attached to that. If you have it, if you get in front of them for an interview and you haven't sent your portfolio, you may want to bring it forward at that point. I'd be careful. Sometimes I get things sent to me that we have applicant tracking systems that we keep track of all of our information. And some of it, depending on the technology, we can't actually hold that information as a recruitment firm so that we can reach out to at a later date. So some of it, if it's technology doesn't talk with our technology, then ultimately it becomes too complicated. So we like just a regular resume that comes in or a phone call and introduce yourself. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else? I think there's
I have a question. Yeah, you talked a lot about standing out with the resume. I assume most of the audience here are students, like those might not have a prior experience working with the industry. So in that case, I mean, sometimes we also don't know like exactly where we stand out, and then what is exactly our transferable skills in terms of what exactly industry is looking for. Because we're and also like, for example, if we say we have something like this because we are coming out of the pool of a well-known school, and how can we show that we have such, I mean, whatever the skill set that we have?
And I'm going to answer the question in a second, but I will just give you a little bit. So basically, when you don't have that experience, yes, you are going to have to do things such as branding yourself, networking with people, and getting, other people to get to know you outside of your skill. And I'm going to tell you in a second what employers look for, with hopes that
My internet is
Terry, your screen froze.
Sorry, everyone. It seems like she might have lost connection. We'll try to get in contact with her.
Did we lose Terry completely?
Yeah, I think she logged off. I think there might have been a problem with her connections, unfortunately.
I thought it was me, but I was still moving and everybody else seemed to be too, so.
Okay, let's try this again. Let me get back to my slideshow. Okay. Just gonna move this down. My apologies again. All right, so what I was getting to the point of before I got bumped off here is that I want you, when you get in, even into an interview situation, think about the employer. They are sitting there with 4 people that they're comparing, and how are you going to show up that makes you different? So I want you to think about, there's things like attitude, how you show up. You're prepared for that interview. You've researched the company, the hiring managers. You've got specific concrete examples through your transferable skills that you figured out. And again, going back to the question that was posed to me, even though you don't have experience with a company, you have experiences throughout your life. And it could be in your lab work, it could be in volunteer work, it could be, in your education, where you can draw upon examples that are outside of what your actual work is. If you don't have the work. So I want you to kind of show your personality, smile, thank them, be prepared, show your attitude, and have those specific, the behavioral based interview questions ready to go. Another thing that's going to help you stand out is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so what I mean by that is some people will say to me, well, I put my resume in, but I don't want to bother them and call and see where they're at with the hiring process. And I'm going to tell you, you are not a bother. And if you are a bother, well, the good thing is whether you're, bothering them or not, they're going to remember your name. They're going to have to go look for your resume, which is the intention of why you're calling. And we know as recruiters and we know as hiring managers that people are interested in getting a job. So of course you're going to call. And of course we expect that. And so I encourage you to really follow up in putting a resume in, not just putting it in and hoping that somebody sees it. Follow up. There's, we get hundreds of emails. And if we happen to not get through all the emails and your resume ends up in, some pile somewhere that nobody has seen, then you've just lost out. So we want you to be that squeaky wheel that gets the grease, that gets noticed. And I have a picture of coronavirus here, which, is, as you know, it's unique and it's getting noticed around the world. And it is a pain in the butt, but guess what? It's getting noticed. And so even if it is, somebody is like, oh my gosh, like, why are they calling me? You're still getting noticed. And if you weren't going to make that call and get noticed anyways, then what do you have to lose? Like, put yourself out there. We expect it. So those are a few things I'm going to share with you. How am I doing on time? Am I going a little too far over?
We have 20 minutes left. So like whenever, we can, however long the presentation is, and then we can take questions.
Yeah, it's not that long. I'll share maybe one example with you just about, and again, this will answer maybe some questions if you don't have the experience and that you're going for that first job and how this can work. I'm actually going to share an example of John Daly, who's a golf pro. And it was my example, actually. When I first came out of university, I finished with my Bachelor of Commerce, and it was in a poor economic time, and I had no way, again, to get this first job. It was that vicious circle. You need experience to get hired, and and so it gets very frustrating. So I was lucky because I had somebody who kind of coached me, and they said, you know what, you'd be great in sales. So I ended up realizing, and this is going back a number of years, Alberta Government Telephones, AGT, which is now TELUS, they were hiring their very first sales force ever because competition was coming into the marketplace. I learned of that. I actually approached the hiring manager and I said, I'd love to join your sales team. He was gracious enough to grant me an interview, of which point he said, you know what, you're a nice gal, but you have no sales experience. And I said, well, that's great. And I walked away and I was a bit deflated. And I thought, well, here we go again. And I got my foot in the door, but I didn't get the job. So then thankfully I had a mentor who said, don't stop there. Figure out, did you see anything in that person's office that, you know, you could kind of play off of? And I said, well, he really liked golf. And he said, well, you know what? Do something around golf. So what I ended up doing is I got a golf ball and I called all across the PGA. I found out the name of John Daly's manager. I sent the golf ball down with a returned courier slip and I wrote John Daly's manager. I said, please have John Daly sign this golf ball. I'm using it for a job that I'm trying to get and it's really important I get it back quickly. And I got the golf ball back and I to this day have the letter. And what it was is I pulled off of, now this is really going way back, a microfiche at the U of A. And ultimately it was an article about John Daly when he was given an opportunity to really succeed and shine. He became a pro in the golf professional world. And I took that and I took my golf ball and I wrote a letter and I said, I know if you give me the same opportunity that was given to John Daly, I will become your pro. And I was hired immediately on the spot and it went up to the president of TELUS and that was how I got my launch into my sales career. And so, you know, similarly, Shelly, who works for me, she is somebody who didn't even know she was going through our 6-touch marketing program in essence. And I had never even talked to her about it, but she reached out one day. She was watching on social media, all my posts, she was commenting on them. And I kept seeing this girl, Shelly, always reaching out and commenting on our social media. I was intrigued by her. She wrote me a LinkedIn message saying, you know, I'm in a tough spot right now with a job. I'm not happy. Gosh, you bring such positivity. Is there something, you know, I'd love to just have a coffee with you and meet you. And so I met her. I thought her personality was great. We sat down. I knew a little bit about her background, but I just thought, wow, I love her attitude. I love what she's bringing forward. And I said, you know, we don't have any space in our company right now, and I don't have the money to pay you, quite frankly. And she didn't take that as a no. She said, what if I can find a way to get myself paid through a grant or something? Would you hire me then? I said, well, hey, if you can find something, then absolutely, I'd talk to you about it. And sure enough, she went out there looking for grants. So she heard my obstacle and she pushed past it and she made it easy for me to want to hire her. So she kept in touch with me through social media. She, you know, found ways to reach out and connect with me. She went past obstacles to try to get a job with me. And at the end of the day, we didn't find the grant. But I will tell you what, when the opportunity arose that I ended up having to bring somebody on board, she was the first person I thought of. I unfortunately had to let somebody go from our company, and the next day I called her, and I don't think she was expecting this would ever come to fruition, and it did. And she's now working with me, and she's amazing. So these are things, people will make roles for you if you show up and you show your attitude. Which brings me to the final tip, and that is appeal to what employers want. Employers want 3 things: competence, and competence is your skills, your knowledge, your attitude, your experience, being, you know, goal focused, having ethics, having an ability, and wanting to continue to grow and learn. So you don't have experience. You have almost all the other things. And the second thing employers want is attitude. You will hear employers say that they will hire for attitude and train for skill. They will hire for aptitude and fire for attitude. So at the common denominator of all of that is employers hire on attitude, because attitude, you can train on skill, you can push people, you cannot train people on their attitude. So attitude is everything. And the final thing that I will tell you is that grit. A lot of people hire on grit, and grit is that perseverance. It's just like Shelly. When you get an obstacle, you don't stop there, you find a solution. And when you have somebody like that that's joining your organization, they push and they push and they push and they help you get where you need to be. And so companies like to hire on that. So those are the 3 things that I would say employers are looking for. So my last, because I know we're on a time limit here, but just some immediate action items for you is continue your learning in school, join one business association with the goal to meet 2 connections and network with them and follow up with them. Sit down and go through an exercise of determining your transferable skills and then create it and put it into your resume. Identify 30 companies you'd love to work for and start following on social media, engaging with them, and start finding a way to get in front of them. Because maybe it's not now, but just like Shelly, it could be months from now. they may look to you and say, you're our person, we want to hire you. And if you have the time, become a thought leader on social media or through blogging or what have you, and share, make yourself known. That's part of your branding. And you don't have experience? Well, then get hired on brand, standing out, attitude, and grit. And that's it. Easy. Any questions? Thank you, Farah.
Well, that was just fantastic. Thank you so much, Terry. That's very inspiring words. And if I could just share something along the same experiences that you were trying to impart to the Science to Business Network folks, we have a project called Boosting Biotech, where we help to provide some funding to Alberta companies that are looking to hire interns. And I have to tell you that we had 23 companies that went out with resumes, and there were 5 of them that received nothing for the jobs that they had advertised. And all these positions were up at the U of C, U of A, University of Lethbridge. We even put them up at NAIT. And it was really eye-opening for me to see that there were, because I always just make an assumption that students would like to have a paid portion of work and that opportunity to work within a company. And so I'm going to encourage all of you to get out there, because we had 6 companies that actually had resumes from youth that had approached them saying, I had done my research on your company, I liked what I saw, and I want to work from you. If you ever have an opportunity, can you think of me? And every last one of those kids got a job. So I just want to share that with you, that's learned, because you're stepping out in the not too distant future. Do your research. If you see an organization that you want to be a part of, anytime is the right time to send your resume out, to make a connection with somebody there, and to start to develop a relationship with them, because you never know if that might translate into your first work opportunity. So on that note, I'll suggest to all of you that you take a look at the BioAlberta website. If you go under the members section, we do have a spot. We have a very reasonable rate for students. We'd love to have you be part of the BioAlberta network. And I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter and watch us on social media and get active and start building your brands. It's all good. It's all good news.
And I would agree. And I think there was a question here that's coming in on the chat from Savannah, I believe. Do you have any recommendations on what to say and how to start the conversation when cold calling businesses as a follow-up? And really, I would just say, reach out to them, pick up the phone, leave a message, and just say, hi, my name is Savannah. I am calling because I've come across your organization. I'm really intrigued to learn about your business. I'm a new student out of school, and I'm just doing some research in the market right now. And I wondered if you would have some time to have a coffee. I promise I won't take a lot of your time. Just love to get to know you and your business. And you know what? And here's the thing, they may not call you back right away. There's what's called the funnel theory in sales, which is you have to put a lot of things in at the top of the funnel, like 100 phone calls, to maybe get 25% of them to call you back, to maybe get 25% of those callbacks to actually give you a meeting. So you might get 5 meetings out of it. And then out of those 5 meetings, you might eventually get a job. So the more volume, and that's why I said to find 30 to 50 companies that you're going to stay in touch with, because you're going to build that brand with those companies. You're going to make phone calls. They may not call you back right away, but don't give up there. Keep going, have that grit, show up. And when you get an obstacle, take that as a challenge and say, how can I get over this? Like Shelly did. I don't have any money. Well, she's out finding grants so she could get a job with me. Stay in touch with them. And maybe at that point, they may not have something right then, but when it does arise, you'll be top of mind, you'll be thought of, and you just need to get your name in front of them, your energy. And people want people that have good attitudes, are persistent, have grit, and want to show up and do great things for the company. So don't give up. And when people say, well, I don't want to be a stalker, you're not stalking. I mean, with some respect, you do want to be careful that, you aren't calling them 10 times a day. I mean, give some timeline, timing behind it. Or if somebody blatantly says to you, do not call me. I'm not going to be hiring you. I'm not interested. Well, if they're very blunt, then yes, take that. But ask for permission when you have a phone call and you get in touch with them. You say, look, we don't have time right now. Would you mind if I follow up in a couple months from now? I'd love to just stay connected with you. I'll watch you on social media as well. Do you mind? And be respectful, but keep it moving forward. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we have a question.
I guess I have my hand raised, but so thank you very much for this great presentation, Terry. I guess like my question goes towards how to break that habit. So we as PhD students in science kind of like oversell ourselves, even to our own selves. So like it's difficult for us to kind of like know what those transferable skills are and how to tell employers that we have those. So what are your advice in terms of like how to break those like brain patterns in like ingrained in PhD students that we don't have what it takes to go for a job? Because I think that's a lot of the issue, is we don't know how to sell ourselves.
Exactly. So selling yourself is a trained thing. It's like you're in sales. You've trained yourself to be specialist and knowledgeable in, like, I couldn't do what you do, right? And so it takes a lot to learn how to be a sales professional. And at the end of the day, you're selling yourself as your product. And so part of it is taking, you could take a sales course, quite honestly. Part of it is just getting out of your comfort zone, and it's saying, okay, I'm going to take one step today. And that step is I'm going to make one phone call, and it will, and think of it as I'm not calling them and I'm bothering them, which is what most people think. Think of it as I am calling somebody who needs me. This company needs me. I am awesome. I have some skill that nobody else has that I've taken in school, and they need me. And then be prepared. What is the value? What is that skill that you're going to show up as? Because you need to share that with them. Like, what makes you so unique that I need to hire you and not somebody else, right? Think of that one wow factor. And then when you go in to call them, I mean, you are confident in yourself because you have something that they need, or you perceive them to need because you've done your research on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're fulfilling a need.
Nice. Thank you. I guess like there's a follow-up question to it, and it's so how do we, so there's like this thought within like PhD students that we are overqualified for every job out there. And I think like, I don't know if that's a myth or that's a reality. So like, it's just like, oh, I'm not gonna go for that job because know too much and like they're not gonna hire me. So like, is that true, or how can we play that to an advantage? We know stuff and we have like certain degree of knowledge, but like I guess we can still go for those jobs in industry. But like I feel like it's dragging us down, the fact that we're thinking that we are all qualified for jobs in industry. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question, because you're not the only one that would think that. So there are all sorts of kind of thought processes that people have, whether they are, let's say at the end of their career, they might be a little bit more, as far as a little older in age. And those people will think, oh, I'm overqualified, or nobody wants to hire me because I'm too old. Or there's, other people that go into a president role and they are applying on a manager role, and they're seen as overqualified and they're going to leave right away. So why would we hire them for this? They're not going to be excited about this job. So there are definitely perceptions in the market and that are going to be challenging for you, but take on those challenges again as having grit and an obstacle to show up differently. I mean, in our industry, there's all sorts, like there's misperceptions about the recruitment industry that, and how we work. And I go out there like small can't handle a big search that's national. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. We can. So what do? I educate the market that I can, just because I'm a smaller boutique firm doesn't mean I can't handle something that's a big national search. I mean, at the end of the day, it's educating and it's helping people to understand what your skill is. And it's also showing your transferable skills. So they see that you're not just this really smart individual that has no leadership, no change management, no nothing. You're just, a bookworm and somebody who's in the lab all the time. That is, there's more to you than that. And so part of it is sitting down and literally working through those transferable skills. And a lot of people struggle with that. You won't be the only one, because everybody, you just do, like I do things naturally. I don't even know I'm doing it. And I have to sit there and think about, what is it that I'm doing? What am I showing up as? What are my skills? And so you have to really think about them and go back and go, have I ever had to do something where change was involved? What did I do there? And it might be, you had to change or influence an opinion in your research studies to get a grant for your research project or what have you, right? So you've got influencing skills there. Those are things that you've got to be able to find in yourself. And until you find them in yourself, you can't articulate it to anybody else. And so you're going to get that wall. So you got to know it yourself, and then you can go up against them, for lack of better words, and overcome that obstacle and help them understand it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we can take a question from the chat group, and then a final question from Paramita. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. So the question is, where do you draw the line between showing your personality or standing out and remaining very professional? And the example that they they talked about is humor.
Right.
Humor, yeah. So if you can speak to that.
Absolutely. Well, I think, you can still, at the end of the day, people want, you have to read your audience a little bit, right? If you have somebody that you're sitting down with and they've got this very stoic personality and, they are not laughing and it's very serious, then, you want to mimic kind of what you're showing up against. That's a skill learned in sales, actually. If somebody is just casual, laid back and wanting to chat with you, you want to be, somewhat casual, laid back and chat with them. And maybe you can have a few jokes, but again, keep in mind that even though they're casual, laid back, they're still evaluating you. So don't be swearing, don't be throwing out, jokes that are, maybe not so appropriate, things like that. Like, have a bit of humor, show up and show your personality. And part of it is, at the end of the day, it's finding the right cultural fit. So just, every, pot in the cupboard has a, lid that can fit on it. Every company has somebody that's going to fit in it. Every, if you're in the dating world, every person has a match out there somewhere. It's just finding the right match. So if you show up and you're, showing a bit of humor and somebody isn't taking that so well on the other end, well, maybe they're not the right company for you. And maybe that's not going to be the right fit. And maybe that is not your lid to your pot. So keep going, right? And don't give up on it. And I think, show up authentically to who you are, but still be professional, still, have your knowledge and your skill identified and your understanding, research them, show up professionally dressed. But you don't have to be someone you're not.
Thanks. And I think we can take one last question from Paramita. You can go ahead, Paramita.
Thank you so much. And no, you were pronouncing my name right, so no problem there. A wonderful presentation. I just wanted to ask you, Terry, about the 6-touch marketing that you talked about, and would you recommend that it's something that we make kind of like a habit, and you continue to do that even though you might not be out there looking for a job? Or would it be something that you would do, especially if you were out there in the marketplace looking for a job?
I would keep it up. And the reason being is, going back to that networking, the greatest gift that you can have in your life and in your career is to build a strong network around you of, people within your industry or industries you want to get into. And so I would say that 6-touch marketing is a bit of a framework. So even when you start to develop, networks and people along the way, add them to your list. And then just, again, like maybe it's Christmas time, you send them a Christmas card. Maybe it's, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time and let's go grab a coffee. And what happens is, over time, you start to get to know them. It's no longer this weird, strange feeling of, I'm just got to go meet this person because, they're on my 6-touch marketing plan. They start to become people you genuinely know and get to know them. Like, be curious. Don't just get to know them. You may start out getting to know them because you want to know about the company a bit, but even ask them, like, oh, so tell me a bit about you. Like, how did you get into the industry? Or what was your first kind of attempt out of school to get in? How did you get your first job? And really seek to learn and understand and be curious about them. Some of my greatest clients have been done exactly that. And I now know who their spouses are, their kids are. I wish them a happy birthday on their on their birthday. So, you know, it evolves with time if you keep it up, and it's meant to be, they're not your friends per se, because friends, I mean, you can't be around it when you've got a whole bunch of people in your network, but they're people, they're acquaintances, and they're going to be there when you need them, whether it's for learning or knowledge or a job one day. So it's great to have that network. So I would say keep it up. So many people do not do that, and they realize it when they actually lose a job, and then they're kind of left standing there going, gosh, I don't know what to do now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Terry, for this. Trish, I don't know if you want to add or say anything before we go to the end of the event today.
Sure. I put up a quick note there in the chat that we'll be doing our third intake for boosting biotech, probably where the job descriptions from companies will be ready to roll sometime in the March timeframe. And I urge you all to, you know, maybe consider becoming a BioAlberta member. That gives you an in to making a phone call to one of the companies that's listed on our website. Say, I'm a member, you're a member. I'm finishing my PhD, or I'm in the middle of my PhD, or wherever your studies are at, and you can say to them, I saw your company, I did some research on the online. I would love an opportunity to get to know you better and to see if maybe there might be a way that I could give a hand, et cetera, et cetera. But sharpen your pencils now while you have time over the Christmas break. Take a look at your resume and try to put together something that is actually representative of who you are. And Fabricio, you have a wonderful smile. I just want you to know that. I noticed you at the very beginning. You smiled all the way through. Those are the things that people will remember. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I like smiling a lot.
I just wanted to add to what Trish was saying about the rollout of those opportunities in March. We're also in collaboration with BioAlberta, we'll be trying to get out some workshops that might be helpful for you to attend to help you build your resume and build your brand. So stay tuned for those in the new year, and we'll send out information about that. So the last thing I want to do before we close, I want to thank BioAlberta, our co-host for this event. We've worked together and it's been a blast, and I'm looking forward to all the other events we'll host with each other. They've been really supportive and really supportive for our group. And of course, thanks to Terry for an amazing presentation, a very interactive session. I really, really enjoyed it and I learned a lot from it. So thank you, and thanks to Profound Talent for all of that. That was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the greatest success, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. And then also, I would like to thank the rest of the team, the rest of the Edmonton team, for putting together this event. We have a lot of volunteers that help bring those events to you. So thank you all for being part of this. And the last thing I want to say, please reach out. We have our email, yeg@S2BN@ualberta.ca. So please reach out if you have any questions, or if you have anything that you want to add, or a specific event that you want us to host, and we can definitely help bring that to you. And also, we're on social media, so follow our network, and it will also be a way for you to know about events from other chapters. And if you're interested to join our group, fill this form. I'll send the link right now on the chat, I guess. Oops. And yeah, thank you all for coming. It's been a great event. Thanks so much for Terry. Thank you so much. It was a fantastic event. Thank you.
I said, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I had my thing on mute.
Thank you.